So amazing, because I also realized all the stories the family had told me. Newfoundlanders are great talkers, and they're great. And my grandfather was a great storyteller, and so was my mother. And I realized these all came through. And it's interesting when people are coming through and looking at these, because they say, "Oh, I don't know stories like that about my family, but I do know them firsthand. And when I die, that's going to go." You have to start and get in the rhythm of it. It's like music in a way. Okay, this is the way I probably would start these figures, and because I want these to be quite big, I'll start sort of with the head like this, and I try to do them all in one piece if I can, because if you start attaching arms and legs after, sometimes they crack off. So the arms will come out here. So you see this person coming out, emerging from this block. I think the first thing was I loved the feel of the clay, that feel of the soft clay in your hands, and then when I started to throw on a wheel, that feel of the clay moving with your fingers. It still mesmerizes me, as it does everybody else, and I've been doing it for years. So this is just sort of basically defining the figure. And what I usually do is I'll do it like this, define it a little bit more than this, and then I'll leave it overnight, because just with a piece of plastic over the top of it. I want to harden up a little bit. It's too soft really to work on, to have her standing up. And then I always find that I haven't got enough chin when I put a nose on. So then I have to put my chin in like this. Now this is where my other tool was so great. I had a tool that I've lost in the clay somewhere. That was a cuticle tool, and worked beautifully, so that I'm glad it's only to do something here. Okay, so then I'll put in the eyes. Okay, which looks very odd. In 1898, my grandfather became captain of a ship bark called the Cordelia, a sailing vessel of 606 tons. It was built for the Bowring brothers and flew the house flag of that merchant. Grandfather was on this ship for 12 years as the captain. And so some of the time he would take his wife and family. In those days the captain was allowed to do this. And there were 7 girls and 1 boy. And they would go maybe over to Glasgow and then down to the islands. And then I had to decide how I was going to portray this so that it would look as though it was a ship. So this is the way I did it. It's Victorian times, so the walls are very decorated with, of course, a picture of Queen Victoria and Albert, and then pictures of the family, and the porthole. And my grandmother had her organ aboard the ship and her sewing machine, and because they would be gone for a long time, and her gramophone. And these are the children playing. This is the 7 girls right here, and the 1 boy, my uncle. And this is my mother right here. And the girls are doing their lessons. My grandmother has the baby in her arms over here, Aunt Meta. And the girls are doing their lessons, and Uncle Dick is playing with his toys. And you see, I keep going back again because I can see out of the corner of my eye, and also I can see the shadow, what the shadow is doing to her from the lights. So that gives me the idea of what to do next. And it's interesting because if I turn it up to the corners, look at this, and if I move it like that, look at this. I mean, it's amazing how much I can get with just that little mouth. The thing I want to put in now you see, I'm going back because I can see where I'm going with it. This is the Belle-Isle, the ship that we left Newfoundland to immigrate to Canada on. It's coming through the narrows of St. John's. My mother was crying, my sister was singing or humming "I Saw Those Harbour Lights," which was a popular song of the time because she was sadly leaving all her friends. When we left here, went in Sydney, where we went through immigration. We had gone into Saint-Pierre, Miquelon the day before, and his mother has lots of cousins in there. They had given her lots of wine, and of course she wasn't going to leave it. So we've all got wine hidden somewhere on us. So mother's got it in her basket, in her pocket. I've got it under the dress of my doll, and she even had it tied around us. The customs man is looking at the bowl, which was our heritage, our bowl that we brought from Newfoundland in that hat box, and the bowl is now in the upstairs of our house. Okay, now she is going to be looking down, so I want her head to be more like this. To see how it works out. This is all sort of by guess and by feel, really. I mean, sometimes it works perfectly and sometimes it doesn't. It's funny because the clothes are really what I love doing. Yeah, okay, right now. See? Annual regatta in Newfoundland. It's said to be the oldest sporting event on the North American continent, continual sporting event. It's held every single summer in the first Wednesday of August, weather permitting. They go up the pond and there's a band playing, and the band plays the music up the pond, and it plays it as they go up quite slowly. As it turns and comes back down, so that it lets everybody on the shore know that you can go and put your bets on it, it plays faster and faster and faster and faster as it comes down the pond, and they do this every time there's a race. And it's very exciting. It's a wonderful time, and it's the only place I've ever seen that something like this still continues in this. Round the corner on Rollins Cross was W.J. Murphy's store, which was the grocery store that we all used to go to. The W.J. Murphy store is still there and still run by the Murphys. My mother had bought this Red River outfit that my brother has on in the foreground. I'm the little one in the blue coat behind it with a tam on, and I'm looking in at the bakery goods. My brother's looking at the cookie counter, and my mother's over here, and the woman is wrapping up the bread for her. I did an awful lot of research on this one because I wanted to find out the products that were used in the early 1930s, and so most of all the things on the back were all products of that time imported. Great rug, eh? See, sometimes I put little precise patterns, like little rosebuds and stuff, you know, but this dress, I know, this was my dress. And these colors you saw this morning, will more or less come out, you know, something like this. The greens I have trouble with sometimes. Some of the pictures that were the most interesting was this card that was of grandfather that was sent from when he was up north. And on the back of it, he's talking about something about this desolate space. The sea captains always have an anchor on it. Well, I couldn't put, although my grandfather isn't buried there, I wanted to put him in there. So I put the Hope on the top of it, his ship, and the anchor, and then down here, the date when he died. It was fun doing this one because it was a memory from a way back. They used to come to our kitchen door and say, "The mummers are here, the mummers are here, can we come in?" and then the people who own the house will say, come on in, and then they'll all play music and they'll dance. But certainly some of it was my mother too. I mean, the sculpture, for instance, of her cutting off the clothes because she wasn't going to open the trunk again, and people loved that one, was certainly, that's how funny she was. And before we left Newfoundland, we had some dishes that she couldn't give away because they were all sort of odd ones that weren't worth anything. So she said, let's go out and throw them against the side of the house and break them, put them in the garbage. So that's what we did.